Penn State, as well as those are 4-year and graduate degree programs. But also the Community College of Philadelphia has a 2-year architecture program. And so AIA has been around since 1869. Last year, we celebrated our 150 years. And probably for the past, I would say 50 years, architecture and education has been something that has been really important to this chapter. We were one of the founding partners in the Charter High School for Architecture and Design, which was specifically designed to increase the number of African-American architects in our city and in the country. There's a tremendous lack of diversity in our profession, and we believe that absolutely needs to change. And so we've been doing outreach and pipeline work for many, many years through both with AIA architects as volunteers in classrooms, but outside classrooms, summer camps, etc. And so we're really happy to be here today to share with all of you the resources that we have. This is a community that's really dedicated to their community. They want to see positive change. And our goals are really around, exposing kids to the careers that happen to be architecture that are right here in their backyard, as well as other design professions. But also specifically to our conversation today is how to use architecture as a medium to make STEM subjects relevant and accessible to kids and really understand. So that's the kind of work that we do. And we're here as a resource to you in any way, shape, or form. Please feel free to reach out. I'm very happy to be here with my colleagues and leaders of the Center for Architecture and Design Board, which is the charitable foundation of AIA, which a lot of these programs go through. And that is Mike Spain and Denise Thompson. So with that, I'll turn it over to them. Thank you. Is that good, Naomi? Anything else? Okay, good.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Spain, and I'm one of the committee members for the Architectural and Education Program. I'm going to share my screen. Rebecca, gave you a little bit about what CFAD is all about. I'm going to touch on those things a little bit, only because that's the way I practice it. And we'll also kind of more specifically get into how the AIE program ties into the mission and goals of the Center for Architecture and Design. So if I can just share my screen with you all. Okay. All right, so we are in class, and because of the current situation, a virtual K through 12 educational program. Traditionally, we visit the classrooms. There's a one-on-one along with the teacher and teams that we have. But again, because of the current situation, we'll be looking at developing curriculum and programs based around a virtual presentation where we support a lot of the lessons and plans that we have in the kit that you'll see a little bit later. And again, Rebecca told you about what the Center for Architecture and Design is about. I just want to touch on the things that are specifically related to the AIE program. We believe every student should have access to design education. We think, one, in terms of what it can offer them as an aid to be able to learn in their other subjects. The design process is something we think can be applied. We believe that a diverse design community is more responsive and accountable to the communities it designs for. We want to reach out to everyone in our community so they can become better citizens and also be a part of the design process that may happen in their communities. We believe that thoughtful design can inspire and empower people with their local communities. If you have knowledge of what's going on and how you might be able to approach certain design issues when they come up in your community, you have a larger voice and a better voice to make an impact that fits what you may want, need, and desire. And the final part, we believe that connecting the general public and design community helps solve some of the most pressing problems in our city. We hope through this program and through the students that we reach that we're creating, again, good citizens that will look at this as a vehicle to be able to have an impact and effect on what happens in their communities. So we were originally founded in 1981 And as I said before, we were bringing architects and architectural students to team with teachers into our classrooms. This allows our children to explore many aspects of design. There's urban planning, there's architecture, there's landscape design, and the biggest part is that there's the design process through hands-on activities that gets them to think in a more creative way in solving problems. We think this can be applied to all subjects that are in schools. The process is the thing that we think is important, and the hands-on activities gives them a real connection. The virtual programming that we're developing will be kind of like a show and tell, and would support any of the kits or packets that we would present to the schools or students alone, for that matter, to get them through this process, which was traditionally in person. Any design skills that children have K through 12, and believe me, they have it. They have design skills from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. We want to touch on that and see how it plays a role in their lives and what they do and what's important to them, looking through their lens. And the biggest thing for this presentation, because of the design process, it has the flexibility to be integrated into any STEM curriculum. The benefit of the process is that we serve as a tool where the lessons can be adapted. For instance, just a quick for instance, if there is a science classroom, one of the aspects of architecture that has a big science component is sustainability. How do you harness sun energy? How do you use water as part of either collecting or energy? How do you situate a building on a site to take advantage of the environment that it's in? We would design programs to kind of like fit whatever STEM curriculum you have because of the process. And then since our relaunch in 2017, we have reached over 1,500 children in Philadelphia. We look to, through the association with you guys, to reach more and to have a greater impact, particularly in the public schools in Philadelphia. I just want to touch on this quote, and then we'll kind of like get into our specific programs. But we had a classroom in Alexander Adair, which is in Fishtown, and one of the students says architects are like real superheroes. You don't know how good that made us feel to hear that, to get some cachet finally. But what it kind of told us that she saw that we hope to convey to all of our students is that we have an impact, is that we can actually, through real life, change conditions and things and have an impact on what's happening in the areas that we live and work in. And hopefully those results are really good, so we can put on our capes, stand in our heroic stance, and be able to move and affect what happens. So we have two kind of like components that we use to get the program to the schools and the students. I'll speak on one that is more of a detailed program, but Denise now will speak on the program model that is our notebook kit. Denise?
Great. Thank you, Michael, and thank you again for having us all today. One of the programs that we can do is a pre-packaged program. This is a kit of parts that provides up to 6 lessons that students can complete either in the classroom with architect's instruction or on their own. So we think right now that's certainly the flexibility that we need to be able to do some self-driven learning. So the program starts with a preliminary lesson that introduces the students to what an architect is, what they do, and asks the students to think about what they might know about an architect. Then after a short reading lesson, they go back to their kind of booklet that they have and then say, now after reading this lesson, what do I know now about an architect? So it's a short introduction to the program, and it introduces them to everything in their packet and kind of guides them on the start of their path. Then the first formal lesson that we have is called Building to Learn. This introduces students to the way that our bodies can be like architectural structures. It uses purposeful play that is part of the thinking of an architect and a designer would do when we're trying to solve a problem. It's a fun activity that students have to get up and use their bodies to create columns and arches And you could do it by yourself, or you could engage either other household members or friends or family to help you do the activity. Could be good for multiple age ranges as well. The second project that we have is called The Shape of Things. So this project really helps students understand some of the buildings around Philadelphia through photographs that would be in their packet, and some of the basic building blocks that make up those buildings. They'll learn some of the architectural terminology, and then have a drawing exercise where they start to learn how to draw things like plans, sections, elevations, and how two-dimensional shapes can represent three-dimensional building components. The students will then be asked to explore their neighborhood and sketch about some of those shapes that they might see around their neighborhood. The third project asks students to think about interior spaces and maybe come up with some of their favorite spaces. They'll learn to describe what makes a space and what makes interior spaces, learn some of the terminology around furniture and design, and even have an opportunity to design their dream room. The fourth project is about neighborhood planning. This is where students will start to think more about their neighborhood and the needs of the residents. They'll be asked to do some reading exercises and build empathy for the potential clients that they're reading about. They'll pretend they're architects and designers and try to figure out how they can solve their clients' needs. And then lastly, there's a bonus project which builds on that neighborhood planning to really get into the neighborhood plans even more and do more opportunity to walk around their neighborhood, discover the needs, and potentially conduct interviews with neighbors to see about what their needs might be in the neighborhood, and then come back and almost create a project that they could see to improve their neighborhood around them. So those are the projects that we have kind of pre-made in the kit of parts that we can distribute, or as Michael's going to explain more, there's opportunities for more customized approaches.
Okay. One thing to add, these kits that we have are really designed where they're kind of self-sufficient, so to speak. And also it makes it easier for a teacher who may not be comfortable with possibly designing a curriculum around their class, that this gives them those ready-made kind of like lessons that you could use. So this is our base and our really effective kind of like the program kit of parts. We also have, which might be a little bit more geared to what we would do with STEM class, is the custom curriculum. As I briefly mentioned before, if there was a science class and you wanted to talk about how a building is actually designed to take advantage of some of those things, again, sun energy, wind, rainwater, we can design a program around that. Another example, if math is your thing, there are structures that we can talk about. What is the geometry and how do the forces work to make a bridge stand, to make a building stand? How much weight can it take? What are the things behind that that make it happen as a piece of architecture? And the way we go about planning that detailed thing, we meet with the teacher and we get an understanding of what their goals are for that classroom. Once we understand that, we present some possibilities, how we can use architecture to kind of get those points across. We develop a 4 to 8 week program, which is kind of cumulative. So one lesson in the first week is supported by the second lesson in the second week, and so on and so forth. So there are a comprehensive series of lessons that lead to a final project or your final goal based on your classroom. We give a daily kind of like outline of what we intend to accomplish that day. And believe me, you have to be really flexible in the classrooms. Again, I'm sure you teachers know, with the children and kids, you have to be nimble. And our program allows that. If we don't get to something in the full day that we, 2 hours that we have while we're in your school, we hope that there can be some support outside of the classroom. But our team, again, is nimble enough to make adjustments. So when we come back the next week, we can kind of like pick up where we left off. all of these things are around a theme, and we present these design challenges in that program that the key is support your classroom, no matter what subject it is. And I know we're talking about STEM, but this could also apply to social studies when you're doing neighborhood planning. We talked about science, we talked about math. I would even venture to say if there's history, that we will talk about historical styles in the world, in America. So the detailed custom curriculum is based on what the teachers want, and our team kind of like develops that lesson through them. And at the end, we have a product that we can present to the classroom or the parents, the school, and again, this is a more kind of like detailed piece. So those are our two methods of teaching and learning. We mentioned before, we're developing a virtual program that will support each of these. It may be a show and tell in some sense, and in other cases, it might be a live Zoom where we talk about what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and kind of like monitor the progress. As we find out more about what's happening in the fall, we'll be able to customize our virtual programming and planning to kind of like meet those needs. But we will have that support for our traditional program through that medium. And I think that completes our presentation. These are two examples of how some ideas are developed. On the left-hand side is a climbing wall with a vertical aquarium that was part of an outdoor student chill space, is what they called it, for the playground at Adair. And we talk about process. We ask the children to put down their ideas. What is it that they're thinking? And it's up to us as the adults and professionals to help them translate that into some of the built models. But it's amazing what they see and what we can see through their eyes to kind of develop those things. That's our program. We're really proud of what we've done so far. We're encouraged by being part of this presentation because we'd like to, widen our influence about how important the built environment is, but more importantly, how it might be able to help our students become better students and better citizens through the design process and the importance of the built environment and the impact that it has on us. So with that, I think I'll just unshare, and I guess we can do our Q&A at this point. Okay, are we back? Did I unshare? I am doing it now. Okay. Are we good? Okay, I can't hear. Can people hear me?
There's a question in the chat box.
There we go. All right. Rebecca, maybe you can answer that. How much is the curriculum?
So I can answer a little bit of that, but for the purposes of summertime, I'm just kind of moving forward with this project. It's almost going to be like I don't know if folks were on the workshop with Fleischer, where they are sending out those kind of art kits. It's almost going to be that same way. So AIA will provide supplies in way of those build your own architect kits, and then they will also provide the online content. So if you want to sign up for their services and for this program, what you'll do is tomorrow we will send out a survey, an interest survey, with all of the kind of grab and go content that we're providing over the summertime. So,
and just,
yeah,
Naomi, if anybody's interested like beyond, like we provide these programs to users, whether they're schools or after school product programs. We've done stuff with Girls Inc. We've done stuff with Congresso. We've done stuff with the Barnes, totally free. Well, we raise money internally to cover it, as well as write grants and that sort of thing. Our goal is to kind of provide content to teachers and sort of after school providers and organizations that are already working with kids that might be interested in this. So let us know if you're interested too.
So thank you to AIA Philadelphia. Next up, we're going to have Kiera, who's going to talk a little bit about some other STEM resources that we have. So I'm just going to share my documents real quick, and then I'll get back to you all.
Hello, everyone. Naomi, I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So I was asked to kind of create a list of STEM
Kiera is our, like I said, she's our early literacy coach, lead coach. So whenever you're ready, Kiera, we can get started.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to go back. So I've kind of created a list, and Naomi will be able to share the list. The list is composed of case studies and projects, lesson plans, STEM learning kits, local STEM programming, local STEM resources, STEM curriculum, STEM learning kits, and then virtual learning. So I kind of pulled up one of the examples of some of the kits some of the resources that are available. And my favorite one was the STEM Gems. And I like it because most of our providers and most of our youth are doing virtual programming. And what's so amazing about STEM Gems is that they give you the entire lesson plan. It's all laid out for you. And then they also provide a YouTube video for the children to watch. So if you're a provider who's doing summer camp and you are going to be doing virtual programming, or if you're a provider who's doing in-person, you'll be able to either print this out or pull it up on your screen and kind of review this with your children. And this is the lesson plan. And the lesson plan that they're doing, I chose was tie-dye dairy. And it gives you the science standards and the 3 main principles for the lesson. Let's see, can we go over? It gives you the explanations and the breakdowns, and also the vocabulary that's used for the lessons. It kind of tells you why the lesson works and why the experiments work. It gives you, as you can see at the bottom, it gives you like engagement questions to kind of stop and pause when you're asking your kids. So if you're doing virtual, you kind of want to make sure your kids are engaged as well. So some of the things that they're asking are, what colors would you like to mix? Do you think it will mix if you got red, yellow, blue, and green? Sorry, the screen is, the letters are really, really small. And then science talk on the side gives you a whole bunch of vocabulary as it pertains to the lesson. It gives you your materials, a breakdown. It also tells you what you have to do before you begin. And then the experiment. And the experiment says explore an experiment because it gives you like questions to ask for the children and a breakdown of what to do. The experiment is continued, and then to make a connection, right? So again, engaging your youth during the project, whether it's virtual or it's in person. And then there's an extended portion that allows the youth to kind of debrief at the end.
So Kiera, I'm about to share that tie-dye story gems. Is that okay?
Yeah. Can you guys
Awesome.
see it?
We can't see it on your end, but I have the link, so I'm going to share it right now.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow. And I'm just going through it. So
don't worry.
I apologize.
Can I get the link to what you was talking about, please?
Yes, so Naomi is also going to share the resource link. Okay, perfect. Naomi is also going to share the resources, which gives you all of those different curriculums and virtual learning, lesson plans, local resources as well. It's going to be on the Excel spreadsheet. So this is the, I'm assuming you guys can see this. This is the tie-dye dairy lesson plan. Naomi, I kind of went through it. So if you want to just go through the pages so people can see what it looks like. And again, this is like the breakdown for the standards. The first page kind of explains what the standards are, and this is like the breakdown of them. The big ideas. So it kind of explains why this experiment works, and then the vocabulary that the youth will be using for the experiment. On this page, it's also telling you like how the experiment works. So how does soap work? What makes this project work? What does the soap do in order for the project to work, right? And how can you create color patterns? And then the bottom kind of gives you some questions to engage your youth. On the side, it says science talk. Again, that's the vocabulary that we want to introduce our kids. And when we're doing these type of projects, we want to make sure that we're using these vocabulary words and having the children repeat them back to us as well. And I think this project is for, this lesson, I think is for 2nd and 3rd grade, but this, I feel like you would be able to take this lesson plan and do it with kindergarten through 5th to 6th, honestly, and just make it your own. So again, this is the breakdown of the materials, what you'll need and what you'll have to do prior to starting the experiment, making connections, and then the debriefing, extend, and evaluate.
Kiara, do we want to see the video that you sent as well?
So so that's the other part. So the cool thing is that, again, not only does it come with a full lesson plan, gives you all of your materials, the breakdown, the engagement questions, it also comes with the virtual lesson as well, which is a YouTube video. So Naomi, if you want to go to the video. And for most facilitators, we know that, you know, they feel like science is intimidating. Like, I'm not a scientist. How am I supposed to break this down and explain it? So I think that having the video and having the lesson plan can help ease that. Okay. So he is talking through it. I think that we may not be able to share the voiceover, the video from this video. And I think he's just kind of explaining what all of the different components of the experiment, how they work, and the breakdown, sort of kind of the language that they use within the lesson plan. And then he actually does the experiment. So I think this will be a good thing to use if you're doing, again, virtual or in person, to play this and allow the kids to see how it works first, or maybe afterwards, kind of during that engagement part when we're asking them questions to see what they're going to do. I think that whenever we kind of give you a project to do, allowing them to see a model is always useful and helpful for them. And I think this video is only like a minute. Yeah, it's a minute and 28 seconds. So it wouldn't be.
Let me try something really quickly to see if I can begin to fix the audio.
Okay. So while Naomi's doing that, science, the STEM gems is just one of the resources that's provided. I chose to use this as an example so that you guys will be able to see. Okay, there he goes.
So I'm just gonna start it from the beginning. Like Kiera said, it's only about a minute long, so we'll start it again, and you guys can kind of hear what you were seeing on your screen. Can you all hear?
In this month's STEM Gem, I'm going to demonstrate just how spectacular and beautiful simple science can be. In tie-dye dairy, I'm going to help you inspire young people to explore the science of soap and surface tension. Soap works by gluing fat and water together. Soap is made from really special molecules that have a fat-loving end and a water-loving end. When soap dissolves in milk, its molecules dance around as it is attracted to both the water and the fat that make up milk. Normally, this movement is totally invisible. Add just a little food coloring and a ballet of color will spring to life. Well, a picture is worth 1,000 words, so come on in, take a look, and be inspired to amaze your young people with the beauty of some spectacular simple science in action.
Right, so this one was pretty short. Again, STEM Gems has lesson plans for kindergarten, I believe, all the way up to 8th grade, maybe even high school, or past elementary and middle school. But I think, again, it's really cool that it comes with lesson plans, it comes with a video, and a lot of the stuff, the lesson plans that they have, the materials are things that can be found at home. So milk and food coloring, those are all things that if you are doing virtual programming that the youth may have at home. Yeah. Are there any questions? Naomi, are you able to share the Excel sheet?
You're on mute, Naomi.
I turned on the wrong thing. Yes, that's what I'm grabbing right now, the Excel sheet.
Thank you. So if you guys are familiar with the resource list that was provided by our team, the STEM resource list is almost the same exact thing. It tells you the agency's name, it gives you the website, it tells you who the website targets. It also tells you like the content area, and then I believe I separated by what it is, so whether it was a local resource or whether it was lesson plans or curriculum. So most of them that I found were free or low cost, but some of them require subscriptions as well. So depending on what you're looking for, I think there's a little bit of everything on the resource sheet. STEM Gems is a free resource. And then I believe you are able to get a newsletter, subscribe to a newsletter to receive new information and new plans.
All right, I'm just having a little bit of technical difficulties trying to find the resource list, but because of course, but I will be with you very shortly.
Are there any questions while Naomi is looking for the resource list? Okay, so I think in the so I'm just in the chat box and looking at some of the comments. Naomi, are you going to share the resource list, or will there be a link for providers to access the resource link? We have a few people requesting the resource list.
Yes, we will be sharing the resource list. Can you all see the resource list on your screen or no?
We see your folder.
Okay. You can see the folder, but you can't see the list. Great. Okay, let's see.
So as we're trying to figure out the resource list, just wanted to let everybody know, remind you all about the survey that we will be sending out for everyone to identify and select which projects they want to work with, including AIA. So just keep that in mind. We'll be sending that out tomorrow, so you can select. And then what we'll do is, once you indicate which sources or which resources you want to use, then we'll connect you with that group, and you'll take the relationship from there, so you can coordinate as far as the like where to mail kits to and those type of things.
Thank you, Naomi. Thank you, Sam. So here's the resource list. And again, as I said, it's very similar to the OST resource list. There's the name of the organizations, the websites, the resource type. Most of them are pretty diverse in the subcategory. Some are very particular. As you can see, there's like engineering, the target age group, and then I think the platform is just website or whatever. So most of, even if they are a local resource, they all have websites as well. Yeah. Naomi, do you know if this is going to be emailed to providers, or if this will be like the resource and people can just like click a link and go to it?
So it's going to be a link, so that it's a live link, so that as we find more resources, we can begin to add that, and people don't have to continuously download, a one document. So it will be a live link very shortly. I also had a really good, I don't know if folks have been looking at the Philadelphia Zoo's website, but every day they do a live Zoo at 2 online content. So they kind of walk through one of the rooms in the zoo, talk to the animals, just talk with the conservation team, and they have free lesson plans that are embedded in their website. So if you go to philazoo.org, you can find that information as well. But it's really, really great content and really cool stuff with their website. Any other STEM resources or online STEM resources that folks have been using through the school year, or through this virtual time that we've been spending with each other? And you can either use the chat box, or you can use your raise hands function to talk through some of those resources that you either shared or know of, or anything like that.
Naomi, can you share with everyone how you will send this out? Like, is it through those who registered or whoever has the link? Like, how are you gonna, and not just this resource, but everything that's been sent out throughout the sessions?
Yes. So every resource will be in a. So I'm going to give you the link to the Google Drive in a second. My internet's a little slow, so I'm just gathering the Google link right now.
All right, Naomi, that's all I have.
Yeah, I don't know if I went out. I may have to just send you all that live link because I think my internet is going in and out. So any other questions that we have? I see Iris from Central said that she has been looking at the Penn Museum website. Sharon said YouTube, videos with STEM activities. So she's kind of just been utilizing the search engine in YouTube to kind of look through STEM activities. Well, like Sam said, so with the AAA Philadelphia content, we'll be including that in the survey. That if you're interested in that, you can sign up for that on tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for attending our workshop. Thank you to our friends at AIA Philadelphia for giving us these resources. Of course, thank you, Kiara, for assembling all of the resources. And like I said, I'm going to put the resources in the chat box as soon as possible. I'm just having some technical difficulties. I'm a little slow right now, but I will definitely put that into the chat box. Maya said that sciencefun.org is also a great resource. Yes, Karis, thank you. Our friends from Primetime Palm Beach, they have tons of resources around STEM and just other resources in general. So if anybody, if no one has any other questions or comments, thank you all for attending this workshop, and we will see you in the next one in a couple minutes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And like I said, I'll be putting the link to the Google Drive in this chat. So you'll be able to access the chat even though we're not in the workshop. All right. Thanks, everybody.